I will give two demos here and the activities. One is how to get the data from the database and how to show it on the UI, and how to save the data into database. And then we have seen like a couple of things now. This is coming. And then we have a couple of methods like we apply data transform. So if you want to call the other data transform rules from the activity, you can call apply data transform. So just you need to pass the transform rule as a parameter here. And then so apply parse XML. So apply parse XML, apply parse delivery, all these are all these apply methods will be useful to call the corresponding rules. So we'll see this apply parse XML in the integration concepts. So at that time we'll use activities. Again we'll use this method in this. So this will be useful to call the apply parse XML rule. And here you can see some more methods are there like connect. So all these connect methods. All these connect methods will be useful to call the corresponding connectors. So if you want to call the connector soap rule, so you can use connect soap. If you want to call the connect EJB rule, you can call connect EJB. Like that, whatever the connector rule you want to call. So we have this many connectors are there. So whatever the connector you want to call, so we need to use corresponding connect method. So anyway, we'll see this connect soap method in the integration. How to call the connect soap. We'll see that from the activity. And then exit activity, this is important, and then activity end. Activity end. So the difference between is, so you can also see here the description, exit activity will exit the currently running activity. So it will exit only this particular activity. If you are calling this exit activity, it will exit only the demo activity rule. So if you use activity in, it will terminate all the activities or all current running activities. So that is the difference. This will terminate, exit activity will terminate only the current running activity. Activity end will terminate all the running activities. So we should use, so very careful, very careful in using this exit activity and activity end. And if you want to do database commit, you should use a commit method. You can have commit method is there. And if you want to roll back the changes whichever you did, you can use rollback. The rollback is also there. Okay. And if you want to create a flow from the activity, you can use flow new method. You can use this flow new method from the activity. So flow new space, and then you can see all the flows are displayed. Whichever rule you want to call, you can use it. And if you want to end that flow corresponding flow, you can use flow end. Okay, so these are the most useful methods we will use in the day-to-day programming. So now we will see those two demos: how to use data, how to browse the, how to get the data from the database, and how to save the data into database. Those things we will see. For getting the data here, I want to get the product information. I want to show it on the, already we have seen, we are getting the data using some other methodologies like using data pages and using report definitions. Here, I just want to show the same thing. How can we achieve the same thing using the activity or display it on the UI? So here we are displaying all the product information. So but we achieved this using this some other way of using data pages, something like that. So how can we do the same thing using the activities we will see now. So for that, what we are doing, first we need to write the activity in the plot in the client technical activity. The activity name is get product details. Let's say get product details. So here we know how to get the data. We have seen WebAssembly browsing to know WebAssembly browse. When you use WebAssembly browse, you need to give the list product list. This is code para list, and then this is STM data product. Here need to mention which are the properties we need. Page name, and this is the class name. And get py label. I just need here only the ID, product ID and product label, so I'm getting only those two things. Py label. Save it. Now once I create this, I need to call it somewhere else. Then only I can get the data. So if I want to get the data and if we want to display it on the UI, so obviously I need to call this data before rendering the screen. Before rendering the screen only somewhere I should call the activity. Then only the activity will be executed, so the data will be available on the clipboard. From the clipboard I can display the data on the UI. So to call this before rendering the screen, so this is a flow action. In the flow action only we are displaying this. So we can go to corresponding flow action, and in the pre-processing of the flow action we need to call the flow activity. If you go to action, if you go to pre-processing, so this is before rendering the screen. So here we are calling the activity. So here, oh, this is in product line. So it goes to product line. It should be in climb only. Now the product. So in the pre-processing I am calling the get product details. So this is the way to call it. So this is one place where we can call the activity. So in the if you want to display something on the UI, we got to get something from the database, so you should call it in the pre-processing, so that data will be available before rendering the screen on the clipboard. So once the data is available on the clipboard, this is very simple for me to display the data on the UI. So now we need to configure the UI. Let's move up in this corresponding section. So here let me add one more. This time let me add autocomplete. So once the activity is executed, we can see that clipboard page. So we need to use the same clipboard page here. So here I am using same clipboard page. I am just configuring same clipboard page display that on the UI. Just copy pasting here. Then we need to configure this one. So let's say I use some property, and this is make from activity, and here you can see the list source. Here the source is available not on the property, not on the data page. Now source is available on the clipboard. You select the clipboard page. So where you run the activity, basically most of the time the data will be available on the clipboard. So from the clipboard to take the data. So in which page the clipboard is available, in this page the data will be available. So I have to display py id, then py label, submit. Close this one, now run it again. Climb. Next. So we have seen some activity. Just click down arrow. You can see all the products are coming. Whatever products are there, all products are coming. Here you're displaying both product ID and product ID and product name as well. We give suggestions as well. So motor, we say motor. So whatever the motor is, it will give you suggestions, something like this. The functionality is same. There won't be any change even if you write from activity or if you write the transform. So this is how we can get the data from the database. But if you want to show it on the UI, you can do something like this. And then the next demo I want to give here is how to save the data. If you want to save the data into database, basically you need to do the mapping. So you need to do class mapping with the database. So let's say, so generally, I mean, people will follow different mechanisms. Some people directly save the data into database from the data class, but in my practice, we follow, like, we can support integration class for the only for the database maintenance. So every integration class will be mapped to database table, and we can use the data class just for the logical purpose, not for the database connections. But some people still use data class. I mean, there is no wrong in that as well. In Pega also support that. You can use either integration class or the data class to convert to database. So let's say here I have one database table already, claimed products. So I want to store my data. So here I am just taking for just testing time, taking only three columns. So there may be any number of columns. So I want to store the claim ID, customer name, or product list he is claiming to database. So first you need to create the database table, something like this, and then you need to go to Pega site, and from here you need to map the database table to the class, because Pega will directly won't work on the database table, rather to work on the class objects only. So that is why we need to map one class to the database table. So for doing the mapping, so we have a tool for that. You don't need to do manually. So go to data model, classes and properties. You can see database class mapping. This is the database class mapping tool. Database class mapping will be useful basically it is useful to map a class to a database to external database table. So this is also very simple. Yeah. So you need to go to work layer, or just any layer is fine. Just you can click new external database table class mapping. So you can click on this button, and you need to configure. So what is the database name? So these details will you need to get what is the database name, schema name. You need to get from our database administrator. So here this is running in my local. I know database name. So most of this will be Pega data, but if you are using different database, you can use different name. And this is personal edition. And table name is say client products. So when I use this name, system is automatically creating the data class. You can see here. But I don't need this data class. I want to create integration class. So you can remove this part. int. I am keeping int client products. And here you can see system is automatically creating me the properties in this class. So you can use the, if you want to use the same naming convention, you can go for it. So or else you can also change the property name, something like this claim ID, just to differentiate normal properties with the database properties. Just I'm using some underscore notation, or else it's up to the you how you can go ahead. And here already I defined claim ID as a primary key in the database. That is why system is automatically taking as a key value. So according to the database configuration, system will automatically map it. This is how you need to do a class with a database table. Once you do this, then we need to save the data to this database table.
Subhash, where we are maintaining the database connections, these are the username, passwords.
That will be there in your one of the configuration files. So for personal edition, everything will be like Pega only. So username is also Pega, password is also Pega. If you want to see that, you can go to your installation folder. Installation folder. Tomcat. Tomcat configurations context.xml. Here this is the database connections. You can see here what is the URL, username, password. This is the thing. Is username, password.
Okay.
The context.xml. If they are available, you can ask your administrator, database administrator in real time. Now submit. Now what system will do? Create all the.
That means it will be used the server connection pool. Data source connection pooling through that. What is that? Through whatever we configured at XML level.
No, that is just like. I mean, system internally will use those data. I mean, even if you don't give the data there, system already is configured here in the data in the Pega level. They're maintaining different mechanism to connect to database. So all the connections will be established whenever you're installing. So at the time of installation only, system will make the connection to the database.
Suppose why I'm asking this question is, suppose if you want to connect with the external database, then where we have to maintain the database connection details and data. So how could we maintain the pool of connections at Pega level?
That thing you need to give while installation only, right? You need to give while installing the Pega only. You should give the database details.
That is okay, Subhash. For the internal Pega database is okay. So
I'm saying for external also. So while installing, so this is Pega automatically installed the Postgres because of personal edition. So for enterprise editions, there won't be any database given. So some database should be running on your systems in your server, and then you need to install the enterprise edition. We'll install it to ask for the database data where you want to install this Pega. Okay, then while installing only you need to give the database connection details like JDBC URL, what is the username, password for the database. You need to give those details, Now system will import all the data like this. But here, this is a personal edition. System is giving me this Postgres, I mean, free of cost.
Mm-hmm.
In implementation, it won't happen. They will get just a Pega only. Won't get any database.
Mm.
You need to install some external tools, external database, and then while installing, system will ask you connections.
Mm.
Is that your question, or you are asking something different?
Okay, that is fine. So whatever you answered, that is also correct. Now my question is, okay, forget about these all things. Suppose if I wanted to connect with the what is that, outside world, the application was so like a Oracle database.
Mm-hmm.
So can we go for the connect SQL and can we establish the connection with the textual database and map that our data class with that database table?
Yeah, you can connect, but at the same time, that should be running in the same server. That's what I'm saying. So here, while we are mapping the connections, it's asking for database name only. We click down arrow. So before, if you want to make anything here, you can create one database connections. Here you can, if you go to technical, if you are maintaining other databases,
Yeah, that's what I'm.
You can create database. Already two databases are already there, data Pega rules and Pega data. So if you want to create new more, just you need to create one more, and then here you need to make the connections. So database name you need to give, let's say test I'm giving. Then it will ask for the connection details. What is the URL, what is the username, everything we need to provide, and then you need to connect it. So the details will be provided by your administration team, and you need to provide those, what is the name and what is the username and password. You need to provide this, and you need to test connection. That's it.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
This is also available in the list.
Yeah, who will create these connections? Or can we create as an architect or as a developer or as an administrator? Admin team will take care.
But we need to get this away from the database. Administrator will do these kind of things, but as a senior developer, we can also create this one. But we need to get these database details from the database administrator. If your database administrator separate role is there, you need to get from them. They need to give the details, and then you need to connect it using the different name. So once you do the connection, then it will come here as well. So once you want to mapping, it will come here. Whatever the database name you have given. Good. Okay. So now we mapped this table into this class, and you can also see number of rows here. Already 3 rows are already available, and columns is also 3. And see, these 3 rows are coming from some other applications. Last time demos, I guess. So this time we created the class mapping to the database. That's what we did so far. Now we need to write the logic activity to. So here I want to write. So let me show where I want to call it. So once we add the products to the climb. So here the next is adding the products to the climb. So we're adding to the climb. So when you click finish, here only I want to add. So by this time I have all the details like customer name, the products you added to the climb, and the climb ID, everything I have. So I want to store the information into database once you click finish. So on submitting the flow action, I'm calling I want to save the data. That means that in the post processing of the flow action. So wherever you want to call this activity when you submit means once you complete everything, you are calling the you are saving to database. That means that you want to save the data into database once you submit the flow action. So we need to go for post processing configuration for the flow action of this screen. So this is the product info. In the action, in the post processing, once you complete, when you submit it, you want to save the data. So here I want to create. So you can this way also you can create the activities. You can directly create here, or else wherever you are calling from there directly you can create it. Save product info, and then you can click magnifying symbol. So if the role is there, it will open. If the role is not there, it will create. Save product info, create and open. Now we need to save the data. So I know that if I want to save the data into this database table, So this database table is already mapped to some class, so I know that what is the class name. So I will create first one page for that temporary product info. This is of type stm int claim products. This is the class that is mapping to database table. So I need to persist this object. My final aim is I need to save the object of this class. Object means page of this class. That is why I'm creating a temporary product object or a page here of this class. And now I go here. I will first create the page new with page temporary product, and then I need to set the values to this object, to this page. So object means page only here. Property set I am using. So I am using temporary product, and then I need to set the values, whichever the values you want to set. Claim ID. So I know claim ID will be there with nothing but a case ID. So this is the primary PYID. So primary means this applies to class. The case ID will be stored in the PYID property. So I'm using that one. I'm storing this PYID into claim ID, and then I am using customer name from them. I'm getting customer name from the UI. So primary dot customer dot full name. I'll store full name, and then I want to store the claimed products, but here I cannot get the claimed product directly because that is in the page list. So what I will do, I need to loop it. So do the looping for each emerald page. You need to give the page list name here. What is the page list name? Product list. Claimed products. CLAIME claimed products, and then while looping I need to do property set. So here what I am doing, here I need to set to temporary product dot product list, and then basically here I want to append it to product list, and I want to use some colon notation to differentiate between the products. And then I want to display. This is just like a logic, whatever you want to do, you can do. Here I want to display only product IDs, so I can go for PYID again. The PY product ID will be stored in this product ID, so I'm using this one. So this way I'm just setting into this product. If there are more three products, more than one product, it will be separated by the colon space, so that separation will be there. And then so far I set all the values to temporary products. My object. I need to save it. It's very simple, just to obj. So we know that for saving we need to use obj save to persist the object. So just give the object name here. That's it. So when you do object save obj save, so it won't commit to database automatically. So you need to call commit method, can use right now here. So immediately it will be persisted. Save it. That's it you need to do, and you need to call this. Already we are using calling here. Save this flow action as well, and then run it once again. Now the claim ID here is 531. See that, and then click next. Here I am adding two products to the claim. So one ID is 31UU88. Let me add one more. So let me add one more. So three products I added, and then I am clicking finish. So when I click finish, internally activity will be executed. So you can see the data will be persisted into database. Now let me open this data, this one. Let me See, still executing. Yeah, it's created. Now go to your schemas, personal edition, tables, climate products. Now go to here. You can see fourth row is coming. If you see the IDs, both are same. It's 531, 531. John Brown is the customer name. Here you can see all the products. Three products. Three products are coming here. So that's how you can save the data into database. You can save into any database table. It's not like one database table. You can save into any database table. But here we don't work on the database tables directly. Rather we work on the class objects. So anyway, this class is mapped to database table. So this class will be when you persist the object will be persisted into corresponding database table. So OBJSave will actually persist, will save the object. So the object will be saved into that corresponding database table. So any doubts here?
Subhash.
Yeah. So that's about activities. So we'll use activities going forward in couple of lessons, like in the integrations, in the other rules also. We'll create some more activities. At that time, we will see those activities, some other methods as well.
How could we debug the activities?
So the debugging we'll do in the tracer. That is debugging concepts. We will see that we'll discuss in the debugging concepts. And then, so we'll see. We'll see some more method called declare on change. Let's say. So declare on change is one of the we have seen declare expressions which will come on. Yeah.
Subhash, one question. So activities can be refer from the flow rule?
Yes, we have a utility shape. So the utility shape will be useful to call the. So let's say walk through. So if you see all the flow, all the smart shapes are nothing but utilities only, or nothing but activities only, right? So usually you can call it. So all these shapes, nothing but these are nothing but the activities internally. So we open this, these are open activities only. So just call the utility, same shape, and then refer the activity and connect it to wherever you want. But that is very rare. So because calling the activity from the flow rule is 99%, that is very rare, I can say. So what is that one? What is the rule name?
Suppose if you wanted to process any background data, like suppose any parsing the file, something, then how could we do it? So through activities and
yeah, through activities only we need to do everything. I mean, like if you want to do parse XML everything, give me 1 second. Hello? Yeah. So here by using the utility shape you can call that activity and you can connect it. So parsing the file generally we don't, where do you want, I mean, I don't see any use case calling the activity from the flow rule for that. So you can call that one, that we will see in the integration, like parsing the XMLs or parsing the flow files, that we will see in the connector level related, integration related stuff.
Mm-hmm.
From the flow rule, I don't think we need to call the activities, but that is very rare, but still Pega supports us to call it. For some reason, if you want to call activities from the flow rule, you can call it here.
Mm-hmm. So when if you wanted to do any business logic, any complex business logic implementation, where will you do that?
Complex, the activities only. I mean, if something is not
Activities.
available
Okay.
using other roles, so in the data transform functions, we can do complex logic. No? Once the data is available, so you can do
Mm-hmm.
complex logic data transforms. For that, you don't need active. For building the logic, we don't need activities.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It may be too much complex. You can achieve that using the data transforms.
Mm-hmm.
That you should know. I mean, you should know different ways of data transforms. You should do the logic there. Even activities also, it's not like straightforward logic. You should think about it. Here it won't help you any for any logic, right? It's just like giving some methods to set the properties. And moreover,
Mm-hmm.
the Java is not acceptable. And you're writing the Java also is not that much easy. You need to know a lot of APIs which are available, engine APIs, to know what are the classes we have. Should know that first.
Okay.
Okay. For building the logic, we don't recommend using the activities. So you can go for data transforms only. So as I say, there are only 4 to 5 ways where you can avoid the activities. Like if you want to save the data, obviously you need to save the data using the obj save. There is no other way in the data transforms or some other rule. And if you want to call the activities from the service rule, from the integration, there also should use. So that way, so there you cannot avoid it. At that time, you can definitely go for it. But again, if something is not achievable using the data transforms, again you can go for activities and you can call wherever required. Like at flow action level, you can call the activities. At the on button click calls, you can call the activities. On link click calls, you can call activities. So wherever you want, you can call the activities. And now we will see one of the declarative rules now again. So already we have seen one declarative rule called declare expression. Declare expression. Now we will see. So declare expression is also come under declarative processing. So declare onchange also will come under declarative processing. So what this will do is declare onchange, as the name indicate. Declare onchange. So on change of any property, we need to configure which properties you want to monitor. So this will be for real time. Let's say there will be some important properties or important configuration properties will be there for the business. So for those important properties, you should not do it for all the properties. Wherever business for which the business is, which products are important for business, we need to identify them, and they want to. So whenever somebody is changing those properties, so business want to track them some way because those are very important. They want to maintain the history or audit something, so they want to maintain that. So in that case, what you can do, you can create a declare unchange rule, and whichever the properties the business want to monitor, they can configure here. So whenever there is a change in the rule, so you can add the activity, you can call the activity, and whatever the logic you want to build, you can do that one. So the logic may be anything. It may be like you know. It may be just saving the data to database, or else you want to, it may be any logic, whatever the business want to achieve when there is a change in the property. So we need to achieve that, and here also declare unchange rules also to accept only activities. Here also you cannot call any other rule. Here also cannot avoid using the activities. And here, I mean, you don't need to call. System will call automatically. System will be monitoring the properties whichever you're configuring here, and then the system will automatically call the activity. So you don't need to manually call the rule somewhere else. So here, let me configure that. Let's say here, I want to whenever, let me run the case. Here we don't have any critical properties. Anyway, let me take any property here. Let's say whenever you change the email address is important for me. So whenever email address is changed for the customer, I want to know who is changing it, and I mean what is the change, like from which value you are changing to which, and what is the, and who is changing that. I want to maintain the audit history. So auditing can be done. You can see here audit tab is there. So basically whatever you are doing, system will automatically tracking this one. This is by default system is doing. So in the same auditing, you can also do your own requirements. Like whenever a critical property is changed, I want to audit them. So here email is my audit important property. So when somebody is changing this email address, I want to know what is the old email address and what is the new email address, and then who changed it. I want to display here in this audit tab. So for that, I need to decide. We need to call the decision declare on change. You can see declare on change rule is there. Call that, create that one. So email change. Create and open. So properties to watch here is customer dot email. So you need to watch which properties you want to you want to monitor. So whenever there is change in this property, system will automatically call the activity. So you can write a when, where you can, based on the when rule also you can call the activities, but here, so I want to call when true here. So add email audit. I'm writing one activity again from here only and creating it. Create and open. For adding the audit, we have a method called history add history. For history add, something is there. So history add is there. So it will add the history to the corresponding work object. So this history entry will be added to the auditing of the current running work object. And now here you can write the description in the memo. So before this, basically you need to set the value, old value, what is the old value and what is the new value. Then only you can you can track the old value and new value. So for the old value, what you can do is we can store the old value whenever you are changing. So here the data transform, I guess I'm already creating initialize customer. So here what I will do is I will create one more property called old email. Or email old. So based on what you want to do, you need to build the logic accordingly. So this is text property and close. So this email old will contain this email. Whatever you are doing in the email, this value will be there. Is undefined. Okay. Okay, now I am storing the current value to the old value, and then the current value will be there in the email only. Whenever you change, email address will change, the old value will remain same. And then I use that one here. What I will do, email is changed from, again you can use email old plus 2, you can to email. So you can add operator as well by, you can display operator name. The operator name will be stored in the clipboard. You can check that. So it will be system pages. In the PX requester class, per page. You can see the, so you need to call px requester. Then in this page you can basically having the, so that is why I'm using the px requester, and then the class name is code pega request, I guess. Yeah. So what is the property name where the username is storing? You can use username. Username is there, px username. So I will use this one. So here should mention px requester dot px username. That's it. So what is there? Email is undefined. I didn't save it. Save it. This one also. Where is email? Oh, that is there in the customer. Dot customer email old dot customer dot email. Save it now. Now fine. So I created this rule, add this rule as well. I'm just creating the rule, but I'm not calling it anyway. So this rule, so basically if you want to call this rule for onChange, here you can see usage. What is the usage of this activity? So we are using this activity for onChange purpose. Select the onChange here, so that where will be gone here. So for which purpose we are using the activity, you need to mention that. If you are using for utility purpose, you are calling the rule utility, you can make it utility. If you are calling it for routing purpose, you can use this routing. If you want to as normal activity, you can use this activity. Based on the purpose, you need to just mention the purpose there, and then just run the activity once again, run the case once again. Climb. Now the user ID, the email address is this one. Now change it to, so venkat@test.com. So I am changing the email address. So when clicks next, go to audit, or you can see somewhere, you can see here, email is changed from testuser.com to venkat@test.com by administrator. Okay. So whenever you modify something, whenever you change, whenever you do changes for the email address, automatically that will be triggered. So we are not calling it anyway. So system is automatically monitoring the property, and whenever there is change in the property, system is automatically triggering this activity. So in this activity added in the logic, and then that is executing. Okay, that is about declare onChange. Okay, we'll stop it here today, and we'll see declare constraints tomorrow, and we'll go ahead. Okay.
Yes, Subhash, one more question I have. Where could we see the PR config.xml file?
Here, everything will be. You can search it in your what we call
installation folder.
In some path it will be there. I don't know exact path name. There in your web apps, I guess. PR config.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Just check there, you will find that. Okay.
And so, yeah, Subhash. So it seems activities importance is in this BPM application. It may be 30 to 40% importance is there, right?
Yes, but I mean, if you use pure Pega concepts, I mean, none of activities except these scenarios, whatever I said. Even when you build a new application, we try to write the logic without using. We always think about not using activities.
That sometimes may not be possible because of the component.
Yeah, 1 or 2 is fine, but I mean, our thinking process will always like this. It's not like we always think about we have activities, we'll do the logic with activities. We always think about alternatives. If something is not achievable at all with some other tools, we'll go for, then only we can go for activities.
Okay.
That's what I'm. Okay then, we'll see tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you so much.